Thank you, Yeshua. I am Aaron. So here's a question that I think relates to what we've been speaking of in a roundabout way, and something about which I have been curious. I was a few years older than you, 5 or 6 years older. So I watched you from the time you were a little baby and growing. I watched you working with these processes, opening your heart to yourself and to others, learning how to use your energy in skillful and loving ways. Back then, I didn't really know who you were, only you were my friend. But looking back, of course, you were already awake. And yet you still had to do this work, coming into a new incarnation, to remember who you were and how to use everything about you, all the bodies, as you said, not to weaponize emotions or thoughts, but how to use them in a skillful and loving way. I wonder if this is just a question of curiosity, but I've always wondered if you remembered who you were at some level as a 3, 4, 5 year old, if there was a conflict between what you knew to be the awakened essence of your being and this little boy named Yeshua, and how you dealt with that conflict. I pause.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm so smiling when you bring that up because I have some memories of being like 3 or 4 years old. And well, I wasn't a calm, placid, easy to raise toddler. But to address
No,
your,
you were not. Mm.
you remember. Yes, you had to deal with me. You were my older brother in the sense, who had more wisdom than I did when I was 3. So, but in any case, you asked me, did I know who I was? Of course, our essence always knows who we are. But as a toddler, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, I really didn't know. What I did know is that I had come for some reason. I did always have a sense that I had a deep purpose for being there. But I couldn't, in a 3 year old's mind, really process through that or make sense of it. But there were many times when I would be playing alone, maybe with sticks or in the fields with you when I was a little older. And I would slip into a meditated state, or what you might think an out of body state or an altered state of consciousness. And there were what I would liken to in the way I perceived them as a young Yeshua, guardian angels, if you will. And they would sit with me, they would speak with me, they would play with me in a way. It wasn't all serious, but they would remind me that I came for the purpose. And the purpose was to know that I was love and that everything else was love, that there was only one in the whole creation. And I cannot say they said that in words that you would identify, but they would sit with me. And it was a transmission of energy, a transmission of love that at a higher level self I understood, but I couldn't really understand it in my 3, 4, 5, 6 year old mind. But I always felt that I wasn't alone, meaning, of course, I wasn't alone because I had a physical family, but there were always spirit presences with me all the time who would remind me. And if I would get off track and have a temper tantrum or be angry or be in my 3, 4, 5 year old little boy self, there was no judgment there, but there was just, be still. Remember who you are. Not just meaning myself, because all beings where is love? Not in those words. I cannot say it was words, but it was a bringing back to center in remembrance.